So like, how many of you have seen curd, being churned, butter being churned? So like, the modern process is different. The olden process is like, it's little time consuming. It's like laborious activity, and you churn and churn and churn and churn. Then the essence of it, the essence of it is like the heat actually from churning the butter and things like that. So you can actually get so much more better and better things actually comes out. So in that way, like the essence of Bhagavad Gita, you will be able to get it by way of churning the Bhagavad Gita. It has layers and layers and layers of meaning, and as we make advancements in the spiritual path, we will actually be able to enter into more and more deeper aspects of the Gita. I think all of you might have played video games, or you might have seen your children playing video games. So game is the same thing, but then as they make progress, levels and levels, it gets opened up, and then they get into it gets more tougher, and then it's more adventurous to open up newer and newer levels. So something like that, that's how the Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavatam and the spiritual practices are like. So it is the same practice. It may look like same practice, but then as we make progress, there is a lot of deeper aspects are there to be explored. So now this is another aspect, like because our Gita course pattern that was going on, and then now we are going to get into the smaller groups where you will be having a guided discussion. So there is another thing that is going to be there simultaneously along with this is the Sunday Feast program. So Sunday Feast program is something like which Srila Prabhupada inaugurated, like when he started the society. So he actually created this program so that people can come together, they can have nice discussion about the subject matters from Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, and various speakers will come. Like in the Gita course, you might have been guided by one instructor throughout. So, but in the Sunday Feast, like many different like speakers will come, and like quite amazing set of concepts and themes will be covered. So in this program. So this is also like very nourishing, spiritually very nourishing, and very intellectually also like very rewarding program. Right? So now today, just to have a good understanding of a deeper aspect of one of the concepts that we have studied already in our Gita course, I thought of taking that particular section. It is from the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and towards the end of the third chapter, from 36th shloka onwards. So it's a very, very interesting subject that actually comes in. So this subject is Arjuna is asking Krishna that I don't want to do anything wrong, but still I have been forced to do wrong. Right? So all of you have heard the subject, right? So in the Gita course. So it is, Arjuna specifically asks this question that Atarkena Pariktoyam Pāpam Charati Purusha Anichan Abhivashneya Baladivanivati. So like why is that? I have been pulled by some force. I don't have the desire to commit anything wrong, or I don't want to commit any sin, but it is as if by force I am actually doing it, right? So now how many of you agree upon? So sometimes like you are doing certain things which you know it is not right. Which you know like you should not do it, but still like you go ahead and do it, right? So all of us have experience of that. So why does it happen? Where is the problem? Who is the problem? So when I do something wrong, who is punished? It's me who is punished. And sometimes it is noticed that I don't want to do, but still I am forced. It looks like it is not that me alone is the whole and soul decision maker in doing the wrong thing. So who's the other person who is involved? Who is actually influencing my decision making capacity? What's actually going on? Any idea? Previous samskars, okay, that's the next answer. Anything else? Modes of memory. Is it okay? So conscious entities, who are the conscious entities in God? The Supreme Lord is there and I am there. So am I at fault or is Lord is at fault? He is, no, he told that in Bhagavad Gita, like Maya Lakshana Prakriti. So the three modes of material nature actually functions completely under my control. And some of you have just told that modes of material nature is inducing me to do something wrong. Or my previous sanskars, so that is also like part of a function of modes of material nature, sattva, rajas and tamas. And if they are actually inducing me to do, it's indirectly the Lord is the one who is actually driving me to do something wrong, right? Everything is perfectly under his control. It's the Lord who is the culprit and it's me who is being charged. Right? Hey, is it so? Lord does not be like all the time we have been glorifying the Lord, we have been chanting the name of the Lord, and we have been understanding that He is the only refuge and He is so merciful and He is so good a person and things like that. So it's quite difficult to comprehend or it's quite difficult to put it that the Lord is culprit, for all of our wrongdoings. It's quite difficult to take that. So, and am I the culprit? But from this sloka it looks like I don't want to do, but some force is actually pulling me, right? So what's the third thing that is there? Okay. Huh? Okay. But just so we saw that Maya Lakshana Prakriti, it's Lord is telling the Prakriti or material nature or the three modes of nature is completely functioning under my control. So, Mera Adhyakshata se chal raha hai, Prakriti. So that's what the Lord is telling. So Prakriti if you put, so indirectly the brain goes to the Lord. So that He's the one who is controlling it and He's the one who is driving me to wrong. Right? So where lies the problem? Previous karmas. Okay. So how did you do that previous karma? Driven by what? Free will is there. Okay. So the simple answer is the culprit is Prakriti, and but still the Lord is not the culprit. No, like even though the Lord, the Prakriti is completely under the control of the Supreme Lord, but still the Lord actually says, like in many places in Bhagavad Gita itself, He has clarified. So I don't induce the living entity to take action. The Lord actually says, no, I don't personally induce the living entity to do anything. So then this material nature is there, and why did this material nature is there, and why did the Lord create the material nature in a particular way that is inducing us to do something wrong? These are all some important questions to be understood. So this naturally any intellectual brain will debate us of these subject matters. Finally, I've been punished. I need to know, am I the culprit or who is the culprit of this whole thing? And so this section of Bhagavad Gita actually gives a lot of amazing clarity on this particular subject, and Arjuna also had a similar kind of a debate that's going on in his mind. So he's putting it forward to the Lord. The Lord is there and he's putting it forward. Are you the culprit or am I the culprit? And how is it actually going on? Right? So he's actually asking that. So then, so this is okay. So in the text 37, Krishna is mentioning Sri Bhagavan Vacha, Kamayesha, Krodayesha, Rajogura Samastava, Mahashano Mahapatma, Vidyena Mutavayam. So he says that Kamayesha, Krodayesha, so this is like the lust, and later on, which actually transforms into Krodha. Krodha means anger. So which later on transforms into Krodha. So Rajogura Samastava. Now how does it actually come about? By coming in contact with Rajoguna, the material mode of passion, and Mahashana, Mahapatma, Vidyena Mutavayam. Vaidina, what is the meaning of this word Vaidina? Enemy. Vaidina means enemy. So and Krishna is mentioning that, okay, maybe a fool may be affected by this enemy. No, Vidyena Mutavayam. Even a very, very knowledgeable person, very sober person, even he can get affected, by his enemy. And it is mentioned that this enemy that we are talking about common enemy or is the ultimate enemy of all the living entities. And what is the enemy? Karma. No? So lust is the enemy of the living entity and later on transforms into anger. The Supreme Personality of God said it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with material mode of passion and later transformed into wrath, and which is all devouring sinful enemy of this world. Now this is what actually Krishna mentions. And Srila Prabhupada very nicely explains in the commentary, in the purport. So he mentions that there is one very important ingredient that all the living entity has. So that is the law of body, Krishna Prema, the law of body. So that's the natural feeling that every living entity has back in the spiritual world, right? So but when the living entity comes to the material domain, the same emotion, the law of body, it actually transforms into lust, right? So coming in contact with the mode of passion. So now why does this shift at all happens? Because in the spiritual world, everybody knows that we are part and parcel of the Lord and we are meant to render service to the Lord, and everybody is happily engaged with it. But when there is a thought of why should I serve the Lord? Why cannot I just gratify my choices? So the internal potency of the Lord or the spiritual world is constituted in such a way the service of the Lord can be facilitated. But if I have to be served, if I have to be the center of the equation, then it requires a different environment. That environment is the material nature. And material nature provides the three modes of nature. And why does this three modes of nature is there? So in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, I think you might have gone through that section of banyan tree, inverted banyan tree and stuff like that. Right? So this is like in that section in the 15th chapter, which is called Purushottama Yoga. So which Krishna nicely mentions what is the position of the material world, what is the reason of the variegatiness of the material world, why there is so much of variety in this material world? Because the spiritual world has those varieties, and the mirror image of that is the material world, right? So now, why does this three modes of nature exist? Because we want to be like the Supreme Lord. We want to do everything that the Supreme Lord does, and for that the facility is the three modes of material nature. So in the three modes of material nature, all possible facilities, all possible things that Krishna would perform in the spiritual world, we can imitate. It's a perfect imitation, program actually. So that's the three modes of material nature. And the moment we think, I want to be separate from the Lord, so then we are put into the three modes of material nature. And how does this three modes of material nature work? It's like if you are traveling somewhere and then you just got in contact with somebody who has got a particular infection, right? So now once you get the infection, so then after that what actually comes in is something unavoidable, right? So you develop temperature, you develop cough and cold, and you develop lack of appetite and things like that. So these are symptoms of the infection, right? So in the same way, like the moment you come in contact with the material nature, then the material nature conditions the living entity. You come in contact with mode of goodness, you act in a particular way. You come in contact with mode of passion, you act in a particular way. You come in contact with mode of ignorance, you act in a completely different way. Right? So it's just a matter of infection. So now in this material world we have choice. Now which modes we can actually get associated with. Most of the time we don't have choice. We are just, in fact, in Srimad Bhagavatam there is a nice analogy that is given in this connection. Like there is a strong stream of a river is there, and somebody falls into that river. So then, does he have the choice of which direction he will go? No, the stream is going to pull him, towards a particular direction. Does he have a choice which rock he will pick, or like how he will actually go? Will he come to the shore, or will he come inside and things like that? No, it's completely up to the stream, how much is going to take. In the same way, the material nature, coming in contact, we have a choice, and after that we don't have a choice. We just take conditions by different modes. However we come in contact, that particular way we will be dragged. And so in that way, so Krishna tells, the living is not at fault. The Supreme Lord tells, I am also not at fault. I don't accuse the living entity. The problem is the system. The system is created in such a way that reduces. And why does the system is created in this such a way? Because we wanted to imitate the Lord, and all the permutation and combination of imitation of the Lord that needs to be accommodated in the system. And Krishna is a warning. No, it's a dangerous one. If you enter inside, it's quite difficult to come out. Right? So, but then we take the choice of entering inside, and then it's a very vicious cycle that actually goes in. So now Krishna actually mentions this. Lust is very, very strong and very difficult to overcome. It's the greatest enemy of all the living entities in this world. And sometimes the spiritual practitioners ask this question. So if this lust were to be a weaker emotion, it would have been easier for us to cross over, it would have been easier for us to attain spiritual perfection and things like that. So but it's weaker because the good news is the law of God is the strongest emotion that the living entity has, and the mirror image of that must also be quite strong. Right? So if lust were to be any weaker, then it just means that law of God, our original feeling towards the Lord is, our love towards the Lord is weaker. It just means that. Right? So that's why it's very, very strong emotion. And when this law of God, when the living entity comes in contact with the material modes, the first thing that happens is this law of order gets transformed into lust. And then perfect transformation of that is it gets transformed into wrath or anger, which is in the mode of ignorance. And the ignorance is the substance that actually ensures that we continue in the material existence, right? So that's how this whole equation of fall into this material world actually happens. And it's all based on our minute independence that we have. So the Lord is completely independent, and we being the part and parcel of the Lord, we have minute independence. And with that independence, we take a choice, whether should I serve the Lord or I should just take care of myself, right? So when I take the decision of serving the Lord has an energy, internal energy, which actually facilitates the service of the Lord. And when I take a call to be away from the Lord, so then the Lord has another energy, that is the material nature, which actually facilitates. So whatever we desire is facilitated, right? So Krishna just facilitates whatever we want. But then our choices are not that great, to make us happy. So we should be engaged in the service of the Lord. That's the natural thing, So it is mentioned that Yaha Parol Nisheshina Trupyanti Yaskanta Ujopashaka Pranavahara Putena Ataya Sarvara. Just like watering the root of a tree, it just distributes the nourishment throughout the tree, and supplying the food to the stomach, it just supplies nourishment to the entire body. So in that way, real happiness we will actually get by gratifying the senses of the Lord, not by gratifying our own senses, because that's designed in that way. So it's not like it's nice without knowing and then I just push it into my ear, I will not get satisfaction. No, I have to push it into my mouth. That's why my stomach will get it, and then the whole nourishment and the taste and everything can be enjoyed. So in the same way, the Supreme Lord must be served. He is the root of the entire existence, and when He is served, the satisfaction is spread everywhere. But then, due to natural choice, there is why only this way? Let me try another way. So that is a natural choice that actually comes. And when the choice is taken, so then we are hooked under the material nature, right? So this is the way we actually come into the clutches of the material nature. And then Krishna actually mentions, this lust means the basic definition of lust is trying to enjoy something which is not my property. And what is my property? Everything that exists is Krishna's property, right? So in that way, that's the basic definition of the lust. And Krishna mentions that as fire is covered by smoke, as mirror is covered by dust, as embryo is covered by the womb, the living entity is similarly covered by different degrees of this lust. So this enemy is how he is affecting us. He is affecting us in the way of covering the soul, covering the soul. And this covering actually comes in different degrees. The thinner degree and a thicker degree, right? So the more the covering of lust, the more dull the living entity is. For example, the thickest covering, we can see that it is in the plants and trees. We don't even see the light in us. So So we don't even see them actively grow or actively reciprocate and things like that. So it's quite quite inert, quite dull, in the system. So that's how when the covering of the lust becomes too heavy, then a person becomes quite dull. And then it's here the example of fire covered by smoke. The smoke is there, but still you can understand that there is fire beneath, because there is illumination, there is heat that is actually coming out. So we can actually understand that there is some fire beneath, right? So that is thinner covering, and then mirror covered by the dust. So that's a little more thicker covering, and then the embryo in the womb, that's very, very thin covering. We don't even know which child is there inside. So now these days some scans and stuff like that have come, but then it's a very thick covering. We just have to wait for the delivery to happen, right? So that's the way the lust actually covers the living entity in different ways, right? And then Srila Prabhupada in this purport, in this commentary, he actually gives some very powerful subjects over here. He actually mentions that this, here there is a discussion about fire that has actually come in. And if this fire is there, this fire is compared to Krishna consciousness or the spiritual advancement. And if this fire is kindled in a particular way, with proper processes and proper methods, so then it can actually make to blaze, very nicely, right? So this, even though the smoke is covering the fire, but still by proper processes and proper guidance, you can actually make it, set ablaze. I will just read this paragraph a little bit. So in the form of a human being, the living entity may revive a little Krishna consciousness, and if it makes further development, the fire of spiritual life can be kindled in the human form of life. By careful handling of the smoke in the fire can be made to ablaze. Therefore, the human form of life is a chance for the living entity to escape the entanglement of material existence. In the human form of life, one can conquer the enemy lust by cultivation of Krishna consciousness under able guidance. Right? So this is how we can actually make this. And further, in the further shlokas, the Krishna is actually giving more light into this problem and how we can actually win over this problem. So he mentions, Āvrutam jnana etena jnanayo nityavaidina kama rupena kaunteya dushtirana analena. So Āvrutam, what is this meaning of this word Āvrutam? Covering. Āvrutam means covering. Āvrutam, what is jnana? Āvrutam jnana etena jnanayo nityavaidina. So this is like eternal enemy, nityavaidina. And whose eternal enemy? Jnanina, the knowledgeable people's eternal enemy. Even the wise man in this world, he is also affected by this enemy. And what does this enemy do? If the enemy is a thief, he may just come and steal something and go. If the enemy is a murderer, he will come and kill us. And if the enemy is a cheater, he may just cheat us in a deed or something like that. So what does this enemy do? This enemy of us, what does he do? Okay, so Āvrutam jnana. So it is going to cover our intelligence. Now that's how the enemy is going to function. So he is going to cover our intelligence. And then kama rupena kaunteya dushturena analena. So this enemy, how does he function? He is going to function in the form of kama rupa. He is going to come in the form of desires. So many material desires. That is the way he is going to cover the intelligence. On the other hand, he is going to give a lot of material desires. Okay, fine, but he has, there is some desires out there. I just fulfill those desires, and after I fulfill those desires, my lust will get satisfied. So then after that, I can be free, to do whatever I want. I can do Krishna consciousness. Is it so? So he is described here as Dushturena Analena. Anala means what? Fire. So fire is demanding for fuel. If you supply fuel, what will the fire do? It will consume it and it will ask for more. Right? So that's how the crystal is going to be. Right? So there is one nice Vaishnava poet. He actually mentions this particular shloka. He says that Kamadinam Atina Katita Adita Purnideshas Desham Jatamai Naturna Naturna Nopashanti. So he says that I have served my masters. Who are my masters? Kamadinam. Sanskrit, like, we have, if we have to tell a list of items, the first item of the list is mentioned and then Adi, etc. Like that. So Kama Adina means what? Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, and Matsarya. Lust, anger, greed, envy, pride, and stuff like that. Right? So these are my masters. Kama Adina, Patina, Sita, Palina, and so I have been rendering service to my masters very, very diligently. I am a very obedient servant of my masters. I have been rendering service to them. And then एक दिन भी छुट्टी नहीं किया. They have not given me even holiday one day also, right? And then they have never been satisfied with my service. How much have I rendered service to these guys? They say like, no, not enough. No, like you should do something better next time, and things like that. So no before, no Shanti. So they have never been satisfied with my service, and they have never been never at peace serving these guys, right? So, but then the Vaishnava poet actually says, Utsvej Raitan, Atayat Pate, Samsam Dharma Buddhis, Pamayaka. I'm forgetting the last line. But anyways, like this shloka actually goes like this, that, recently I just found out there is another nice master is there. So who is that? Yadupati. Yadupati means Krishna. The Lord of the Yadavas. That is Krishna. So he is a very nice master. It's like the devotee is a very nice master. And the service to him is like so amazing and so sweet and so nectarian. Even if I want, even if my boss wants to give me a holiday, I don't wish to take a holiday. So because it's so nice, being with him, right? So like that, so I just recently found out that, Krishna is such a wonderful master, and I've been engaged in the service, and it's so great, like that. So that's how he's actually giving a very nice report or very nice review of the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. So anyways, so here, this end of the living entity, so I just read the translation of the shloka. The wise living entity's pure consciousness becomes covered by its eternal enemy in the form of lust, which is never satisfied and which burns like fire. Right? So in this one, like Srila Prabhupada actually mentioned, the sense gratification means increasing the duration in the material life. And while enjoying the sense gratification, it may be that there is some feeling of happiness. But actually that so-called feeling of happiness is the ultimate enemy of the sense enjoyment. So it's actually giving a misery. It's like, sometimes it is explained as a burger, So in the burger, there is a big bun, and there are two big buns, and then in between there is thin salad. That's the happiness of the material enjoyment. Right? So again, that happiness, there is a big bun of somebody, and after you enjoy the happiness, there is another big bun of somebody. Right? So it's a package. You cannot just ask for, I want the salad in between. No, it's not possible. It's a package, it's supplied as a package. So, and why does the living entity go through this misery again and again? Because there is a thin salad in between. Right? So that's this one for the carrot, for the living entity to go for it again and again. So till the time we come into the Krishna consciousness or spiritual practice. So then, so the next program, Krishna actually mentions where can we actually find this enemy of this lust? Where is he there? If I have to attack it, if I have to handle it, I need to know the whereabouts of this enemy. So Krishna mentions Indriyani Mano Buddhis Ashyadhishtana Muchare Ete Vimoha Ete Jnana Avritta. So like Indriyani, Mano and Buddhis. What are the key three things? Indriya means senses, Mano means mind, and Buddhi means intelligence. So these are the three places. Pratyadhisthana Muchate. So like that is the place of staying, or that is the strategic place of the lust being pursued. Ete Vimoha Desha. So sitting in these places, so the lust actually puts the living entity into illusion. Jnana Avritta. So like it actually covers the intelligence of the living entity by sitting in these three places, right? So and Srila Prabhupada says, the enemy has captured different strategic positions in the body of the conditioned soul, and therefore Lord Krishna has given hints of those places. So so that one who wants to conquer the enemy may know where he is formed. So no wonder, like you go to any yoga practice, what do they actually teach? They teach regulating these three aspects. The control of the senses, control of the mind, and control of the intelligence, right? So the modern world, or since time immemorial, this is the way, so the material activities means what? No regulation, just don't regulate your senses, just be natural, right? So be quite natural, right? So it's like the scriptures are saying that, okay, so in your practical life, when you will regulate yourself and not be natural, with which time, you will restrict yourself from your natural eating or natural activities and things like that. Which is the time when you restrict yourself?
When we diet.
Huh?
When we diet.
When you diet. Why do you diet? That is the way to huh? Sleeping, you don't have a choice. When you consciously make a restriction of yourself. When you fall sick, yeah, that's a very important thing. When you fall sick, we are not allowed to be natural, right? So I naturally like to do certain things. I naturally like eating ice cream, but then if I have a fever, I cannot, I should not, right? So that's the thing which is, Krishna is mentioning. See, you can be natural. You can do everything spontaneous and natural after you go back to the spiritual world, right? So this is not a place for you to be natural. This is a place for us to be regulated. That's something that Krishna actually mentions, that because of our strategic points, what are the things that we want to, what the people in this world want to enjoy? So they want to enjoy the senses, they want to enjoy in the platform of mind, and they want to enjoy the platform of intelligence. Right? So these are the three things that people want to enjoy. And Krishna is mentioning, beware. This is the place your enemy is sitting. Right? So this is the place, we cannot just go about and unleashing and things like that. So this is something to be regulated. Right? So that is what he is mentioning. So sitting in these three places, our eternal enemy, called us, actually is putting us into illusion. And please regulate it. So that's how all the spiritual practices, be it any path, it can be like karma yoga, jnana yoga, ashtanga yoga, whichever yoga process we take, invariably these three things are taken into account, and how to regulate these three things are actually the subject matter of the whole yoga system, right? So that's quite natural, And the next shloka, Krishna actually mentions, Tasmat tvam indriyanadam niyamya vartava atmanam tajati enam jnanam vijnana nashanam. This entity, this lust, it is capable of destroying the knowledge and the realized knowledge. Jnanam vijnanam nashanam. So it's very, very dangerous entity. So please be very careful. So he is mentioning, therefore, Arjuna, the best of Bharatas, in the very beginning, curb this great symbol of sin called lust by regulating your senses and slay this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. So we can actually eradicate. If we give vent for this lust to act, then only it can act. But if we regulate these three areas, so then it is not going to act. It's just like if there is a live wire, there is a current, wire with a current. We will not, we should not touch the bare wire. So it is going to shock, it is going to give us shock. But if we want to utilize that current, what we should do? We should take a proper insulated wire, and then we should properly connect it to various appliances, and then we can use it effectively, right? So in the same way, because this lust is sitting in these three places, we cannot, just like that, bare wire we cannot touch. In the same way, we cannot just go over enjoying the senses, mind and intelligence. It has to be regulated by the rules and regulations given by the scriptures. And when we do that, it becomes insulated, right? So when it becomes insulated, then it can actually productively utilize in our this one. So that's how this has been, all the culture, civilizations in the world, always have been in this path of regulating these three aspects. So here in the purport, the Prabhupada actually mentions, lust is only the perverted reflection of law of God, which is natural for every living entity. But if one is educated in Krishna consciousness from the very beginning, that natural love of God cannot deteriorate into lust, right? So, Krishna consciousness consciousness, this one like right from the childhood, if this is practiced, if this one is given, right, if this culture is given, you see like Prabhuji is like cultivated from suddenly name not coming. Dad was the rule. So like Prabhuji is a product of like right from childhood, he's been practicing Krishna consciousness. And it's so natural for them, right? So it is so natural for them to actually like do Krishna conscious activities and make progress in spiritual life and things like that. So these rules and regulations doesn't become that big a difficulty, So because the culture is given right from the childhood, right? So this is how the nice culture is actually to be brought about. And then Krishna is mentioning the next aspect is, okay, now strategic positions we understood, the senses, mind and intelligence. So now in these, like if you imagine like an army of people are there, so or imagine a chessboard, where you are playing. So when you will be considered victorious in a chess game, you are attacking another army. Checkmate. Checkmate means what? The king has to be conquered, right? So there are so many like problematic differences are there. Like each and every soldier in the army could be a possible threat to me. But the biggest threat is the king. If I can conquer the king, then everyone actually gets conquered, right? So that's this one. So Krishna is going into a little more detail. So he's telling that Indriyani Paranyahu, Indriyani Paramana, Manasastu Parabuddha, Yoguddhe Parasastu Para. So he is mentioning that the working senses are superior to dull matter. So in this world, the material nature is composed of three modes of nature, right? So goodness, passion, and ignorance. Every material element has the capacity to induce the thoughts of sense gratification in us, right? So if how many of you thought about gulab jamun a minute before? Not right. So but then if you are told about it or if you see it, then you get a desire to taste it, right? So how did this whole thing come about? Like you didn't have the desire to taste it, but then it came about just because we are discussing about it or you are going to see that particular entity, it has the capacity to inspire you, the material desires, right? So that's how this matter is also quite, it's a what is that? It's a threat to us in terms of inspiring the thoughts of sense gratification. And then more powerful than matter is the senses. The working, the knowledge acquiring senses and the working senses. So what are these knowledge acquiring senses? Eyes, nose, ears, skin, and the tongue. Right? So these are the 5 knowledge acquiring senses. So in the working senses, there are only 5. Hands, legs, speech. By speech you can get some work done. And hands, legs, speech, and rectum. Yeah. So this is there, and this is all working senses. So when these senses are more powerful than the dull matter, So and then more powerful than the dull matter is the mind, and then more powerful than the mind is the intelligence, right? And then more powerful than the intelligence is the soul. This is the hierarchy. Dull matter, the senses, so then the mind, intelligence, and the soul, right? So all these different things are there. So now all of them must be diligently controlled and regulated and employed in service of the Lord. Right? So that is very essential. So here Krishna, like Srila Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport, if therefore the mind is directly engaged in the service of the Lord constantly, then there is no chance that the senses will become engaged in other way. The mental attitude has already been explained, that is Param Drishva Nivartati. So this is a very nice, this one, Param Drishva Nivartati. So Param means what? Top, so superior. Param. Drishva means seeing, right? So Param Drishva. Param Drishva means if you have experience of something superior, so then you will lose the taste for something inferior, right? So that is something like that is mentioned. So if the mind is nicely engaged in the service of the Lord, and automatically the senses will also come under control. If you are working only on the platform of the senses, I have to do this service, I have to do various physical activities alone, so then what happens? The mind is not engaged, the intelligence is not engaged, so then there is every chance of me falling back to the material activities. No, always it is there. But then if the mind and intelligence, these things are engaged nicely, so then there is a good chance that we will make solid progress in the spiritual path. Right? And then Srila Prabhupada also mentions, a nearby spiritualist is generally advised to keep aloof from the objects of the senses, but aside from that, one has to strengthen the mind by the use of intelligence. Right? So like, how are we now also like we are using the intelligence and we are analyzing the subject matter, and we are strengthening our mind by this process. But even though the soul is the master of intelligence and mind, and the senses also, still, unless it is strengthened by the association in Krishna consciousness, there is every chance of falling down due to the agitated mind. Right? So this is like very, very essential. So on the platform of soul, we actually chant our Hare Krishna mantra. On the platform of intelligence, we try to understand the subject matter as presented by Krishna. And on the platform of mind, what do we do on the platform of mind? Control the senses, okay? So mind, what is the function of the mind? So the intelligence functions based on discrimination, right? And mind likes and dislikes emotions. Mind likes emotions. And mind functions on the emotional plane, right? So what are the nice emotions that we can actually have? So we can actually have gratitude towards the Supreme Lord. The Lord has helped me to come into the spiritual path, and then He's helping me to, so He's given me a wonderful association of devotees, where we can actually discuss this wonderful subjects and things like that. So we can actually express gratitude to the Supreme Lord. So whenever we speak about this gratitude, I always remember one sloka, nice sloka from Srimad Bhagavatam. So Sudama, like all of you know Sudama, right? So Krishna's friend. So a very poor Brahmana. Like he went to see Krishna, and when he went to see Krishna, like he didn't have anything with him. So he borrowed some chipped rice, from his neighbors, and then he went to see Krishna. And then he did not expect, a great reception or something like that. He did not even expect that, like, I would get an audience to meet Krishna. But by this time, who is Krishna at this point in time? King, Dwarkadish. He's like, he's the king of Dwarka. And here is a poor Brahmana, like, how will he, get an audience, of the king? He was just thinking that, okay, anyways, like, I'll go and meet my friend. So he just goes, and then for his surprise, Krishna actually, opens up all the security, distance, and then he himself comes, and then he actually embraces Sudama, right? And then at that point in time, Sudama actually, mentions a sloka, which is very, very nice, and which is actually encapsulated in this feeling of gratitude, right? So he asked this question, Dvaham Darindra Bhamiya. He asked, who am I? Dvaham means who am I? Dvaham Darindra Bhamiya. Darindra means very poor and very sinful. Why is he calling himself to be sinful? So because if I am pious, if I have done something good, so Janma, Aishwarya, Shri, these things would be there with me. Like, good work, good education, good wealth, and beauty. These are all the results of the five things. Like, I'm so poor. Like, that means like I'm very sinful also. So like, Dvaham Darindra Bhamiya. And then he mentions, Dvaham Krishna Sri Niketa. Who is Krishna? So Krishna is Sri Niketa. So Sri Niketa means like, Niketa means what? Shanti Niketa. But Karta Shanti Niketa. Now Shanti Niketa. So, like, Sri Niketa means what? Goddess Lakshmi, goddess of fortune. Goddess of fortune means all wealth and all good fortune. Everything is residing there. And Lakshmi has a name called Chanchala. Anybody knows the meaning of the word Chanchala? Very figurative. Very figurative. So she doesn't stay in anybody's place. Kabhi aapka bank account mein, kabhi dusra bank. She doesn't stay in any place. Constantly. Lakshmi is called Chanchala. But then she has a name. Lord has a name in connection with this word Chanchala. What is the name of the Lord? Chanchala Prati. He is the Lord of Chanchala. leaves his shelter, right? So that's why intelligent people actually take shelter of the Supreme Lord, automatically Lakshmi comes. And the people of this world go behind Lakshmi and Lakshmi just leaves them out. Right? So that's a shortcut, like to actually become fortune, to attain good fortune. So like like Sudama is telling, Lord Krishna Sri Niketana, he is the abode or he is the residence of the Lakshmi, So like he is such a great person, I'm such a lowest person. And then Brahma Bandhu in this form, so I'm not even a proper Brahmana. So but then Bahupyam Pariyavita. No, he says Bahupyam Pariyavita means he embraced me. He actually expresses very deep gratitude towards the Supreme Lord. So that's how we actually can engage the mind in the service of the Supreme Lord. It's a very nice emotion. In fact, when like Prahlad, this is also another nice shloka. So this is when Prahlad is tortured by the Hariksetra, Lord Nrsimhadev appeared and then he did an open heart surgery. And operation successful, patient died. Right? So he was killed. And after that, Lord Nrsimhadev was so angry. He was so angry that his devotee was tortured. And then all the devatas, everybody appeared and things like that. So, but then Nrsimhadev's anger was not getting pacified. And then, even in that conversation, there is one nice statement is that Brahmaji is asking Lakshmi Devi, hey Lakshmi Devi, your husband is angry, just go and pacify it. And Lakshmi Devi says, I don't know who is he. I've never seen him in this form. So it's quite angry. And then Prahlad was asked to go and pacify the Lord. So when Prahlad was asked to go and pacify the Lord, so he actually, out of great humility, and this is a natural quality of a devotee. The devotees are very humble, and out of great humility, he actually offers a prayer to Lord Nrsimhadev. He says that Brahma Adaya Suragana, Munayo Prasiddha, Sattvaikatanataya Vachasam Prabhava. So all these great personalities like Brahma Adaya, again, Adi means all this Suragana. So all this devatas headed by Lord Brahma, so all of them are offered choice poetries, Munayo, what is that? Vachasam Prabhava. They have eloquently glorified the Supreme Lord, and still the Lord is not pacified. So Vachasam Prabhava. And then what is that? Anything else in Shloka? Brahma Adeshwarana Munayo Prasiddha. Anyways, the shloka actually goes like this. So, who am I? I am just a insignificant person born in the family of Asuras. Anybody would introduce themselves by their family lineage and father's name and things like that. I cannot even utter my father's name. So it's like Hiranyakashipu. Who would like to give such an introduction? Right? So I am not that great person. But then I have been engaged to pacify the Lord. And he's actually expressing his humility in front of the Lord. It's not that he all these big people could not able to. I'm going to pacify the Lord. He came for me, right? Lord Nrsimhadev actually came for me. So he was not like that. He was so humble. And he was saying that all these people, they are all they are all born of Sattva-guna. They are all very nice people, very refined people, all these devatas. And they are not able to pacify. Who are I? So but still, I will just, because they have ordered me to do, to glorify the Lord and pacify the Lord, I will try my best. So that's how Prahlad is actually putting forward himself. So this is the way in which we can actually engage the mind in the service of the Lord, practicing the quality of humility, practicing gratitude towards the Lord. So when we do this, our mind becomes very, very powerfully engaged in the service of the Lord. But if we don't engage the mind in this way, so then our sadhana will become very mechanical. Our chanting of the names of the Lord will become very mechanical. So when we chant the names of the Lord, we should actually think about this. Who am I? Why should I be given this opportunity to chant? Why should I be given the opportunity to associate with the devotees of the Lord? Right? So it's something very invaluable, something very rare, something very, very, very precious. So, but still, I get given this opportunity, like I'm so grateful to the Lord. So when we actually express that gratitude, so then the mind becomes, very nicely engaged, in the service of the Lord. And then the senses, we have many, many different opportunities to engage the senses in the service of the Lord, right? So like, Prasadam service is there, you can cook, and you can offer to the Lord, you can offer nice city worship, like, you can cleanse the, your altar, you can offer nice flowers to the Lord, you can, after you offer, at the end of the day, you can actually collect those flowers and smell those flowers, which are offered to the Lord, right? So in this way, like many ways, you can actually engage your senses directly in the service of the Lord. So this is all very, very purifying, right? So very purifying. And the last sloka, Krishna is mentioning. Thus, knowing oneself to be transcendental to the material senses, mind and intelligence, O mighty armed Arjuna, one should steady the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence, that is Krishna consciousness, and thus by spiritual strength conquer this insatiable enemy known as lust. Right? So this is the way Krishna actually concludes this. We see that individually, though the solution is given that the lust is the enemy, and it sits in these three strategic places. And how do we actually go about and controlling it? By regulating the senses, by engaging them in the positive service of the Lord, so we can actually conquer them. But still, it's quite difficult. The process is known, the answer is known, but still, the examination is quite difficult, right? So that's how Srila Prabhupada often mentions that I've created this society, the ISKCON, for the purpose of the association, right? So ISKCON is not some assets that are there or big temples that are there and things like that. ISKCON is all about creating this facility, where we can actually come and discuss about the subject matters and energize each other and enthuse each other to follow this process, right? So that's how this particular thing is there. And that's to that end, we had instituted this Gita course program, and then later on this Bhakti Diksha and many other events that we actually designed is primarily for this purpose, so that we can actually come together and discuss these subject matters and we become enthused to follow this practice. So it is quite well known that association, without association, is quite difficult for us to actually make progress. So though it is simple, the process is quite simple, but the impetus to follow this process doesn't come so easily. Because the whole world is inspiring us to do something else, and we are trying to do something else, right? So now when we are trying to do this thing, we need to have some association. The Sangha, we get the energy. That is why in Kali the process is Sankirtana, coming together and chanting the names of the Lord and discussing Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. And I'm very grateful to all the leaders here who are sharing out a lot of time. So for the participants, you need to take only this much of time to come, attend and have the sadhana and go. But the organizers, the leaders over here, who are spiritual leaders and the devotees who are managing the center, so they have to put in a lot more time, they have to put in a lot more energy to actually make this thing happen, right? So always very grateful to them. So it's nobody can ask that, in spite of your work and in spite of your family engagements and things like that, still, you should give some time. It's something that nobody can ask. But these volunteers, they are willingly, and out of great interest for all the participants, for the welfare of all of you, they have been taking time out, and they are continuing to take time out for all of you. So let's chant one time Hare Krishna mantra for all the leaders here. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Today also is going to be some of you are going to be awarded with the Shiksha, this one. So this is also a very nice activity that when we commit in front of the Lord, commit in front of the devotees, so we get a different kind of energy and power to do the devotional service. So I'm very happy to see that many devotees are coming up to commit yourselves to the process of chanting Hare Krishna. So with this I pause. Any questions that you all have, we can take it 2 minutes and then we can go to the next question. Any questions? Subject matter is clear. Okay.
After practicing almost the yoga or something, sometimes the people who are elevated at certain level, sometimes they fall down, right? So what can be the reason?
So Krishna is mentioning that particular wisdom. No, it is a, what is that? It's a continuous game that we need to play, right? So we have seen that in the play of kabaddi or in the play of football and things like that. So there is good performance are there, and sometimes they lose the game, right? So and Krishna specifically mentions to this regard, one shloka in Bhagavad Gita in the 9th chapter. He says, "Api chet suduracharu, vajatema ananyama, sadhudeva samadhya, samyak pradashito." So he mentions that it's quite often seen that the serious practitioners, sometimes they fall from this path. But then what needs to be seen is that they are constantly being engaged in the service of Krishna. And even if they fall, hopefully they get back into the practice and they progress forward. That is something to be seen. So now, like initially when the practice is starting, so we are completely in the forward state. And then like when we start practicing, we sometimes hit like what is that, little elevated state. And after some time we are able to maintain the elevated state for some time and then coming down and again going like this. And after some time we become full free, right? So it's going to have its dips. In the intermediate practice, it's going to have its dips occasionally. So that's part of the game. Any other questions? Yes.
So,
Your name? Kapil.
So my question is like, why are we chosen to come into this materialistic game?
We have chosen.
We have chosen that. Yeah. Not the God.
No. So that's the first thing that we discussed. We see the culprit.
And where does it end? Like,
where does it end? When we are able to solidly develop attraction on the spiritual plane and solidly situated on the spiritual plane, the game ends in the material world.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, so one or two of you can share some essential learnings that we take from today's session, and then we will close the session. All of you are quite attentive, like I should thank all of you for being nice audience. So any points that somebody would like to share?
Prabhuji, I will start. Today's lecture was very transformative because you gave a complete walkthrough of why we do things that we are not supposed to do, even when we don't want to do it. So with that, you actually took the points to the exact, you got the source of the issue that we have. The problem is the lust that we have, and that lust itself is, it's a perverted reflection of the love of God. So one of the beautiful points that you mentioned was, why somebody might ask, why do you have lust then? Lust should not be there. But if lust is not there, it means the love of God is also not there. So that is something that got me from this. Thank you.
Yeah, Prabhuji, so when you mentioned the classified between different types of lust, right? One is on your fire, then the mirror, another other rooms, right? Because we are still in the mood state that we are in the mode of the fire, where we can still see the lights of hope. So that is a very good enlightening point.
Anyone else would like to share? Yes.
So when the creation happened, so there was no good and there was no evil. So how come like there is a distinction coming to this age? So like we come into this materialistic world and we have to kind of go to this journey. So how does this come across?
See, the modern understanding of creation is, it started from a particular age. But the Vedic understanding of creation is, the creation and destruction goes on in a cyclic way. So the Vedic understanding is something of Sanatana. So we also call ourselves as followers of Sanatana level. So Sanatana means there is no beginning date and there is no end date. So this conception of time actually comes from the material world. In the spiritual world, there is this concept of time doesn't exist, right? So it's not that from the date of creation. So that argument doesn't stand there. So it's always the Lord existed, and then all the living entities, all of us, we always existed. There is no question of me being created at a particular point in time. The living entity is ever existing, right? So this life, I have a date of birth and date of death and stuff like that, But then in my spiritual existence, there is no time as such of that nature. So it is all about at certain points, the living entity makes a choice. I want to be the center of my world, So then he is put into this material world, and that's the source of the evil, And all the source of divine is like in cooperation with the Supreme Lord. When we act in cooperation with the Supreme Lord, that's divine. When we act separate from the Supreme Lord, that becomes the source of the evil. It's all because of that particular choice that we make. From Mataji's side, somebody would like to share?
One point I like a lot is like the Vaishnava Acharya, he mentions that I've accepted the masters like Kam, Adi, but Yadav Pati is the greatest master. So this point is like from that I should accept Krishna as the master rather than accepting Kam, etc.
Anyone else? From Mataji's side, one more? Yes. Okay, so we can, in the spiritual life, we can be at our high or we can be at the dip. So when we actually are in the dip, what to focus on? So first is that one thing that is mentioned is that, I think in the Gita course sessions, we would have discussed about this particular point. It's like jumping off a cliff. When you jump off a cliff, so you have a choice when you are jumping off. After you jump off in the altitude A, B, C, you don't have a choice. You just have to go. But then there needs to be an external influence that needs to be there. So when we are in the dip, we always require associations which actually influence us. That's one thing. And if we are, so there can be another case where we are in the dip, but then we are conscious and then we are contemplating what could be the difference. So then we have to analyze these three things. Where is the area that has left the material nature to enter inside? My senses, my mind, my intelligence. Where is the place that I allowed the material nature to come inside and do the damage? And we have to patch it up. So even if association is there, so there also the devotees would do the same thing. This particular aspect has become a little gone off track. If we just settle this, so then everything will come into the proper place. Right? So that way, the spiritual practices are there, and then proper engagement. So this Krishna actually mentions as abhyasa and vairagya. So abhyasa means for example, if you are trying to light wood with fire, so you need to be careful in lighting the wood. Proper matches and proper source of fire should be there. And then vairagya means the wood should not be water should not be put on the wood. So the wood should be kept dry and proper ignition has to be done. So then it will actually it will get set up place. Right? So if there is fire is not coming up, that means either our source of fire is not proper or the wood is getting wet. These are the two options that are there. So wood, to keep the wood dry, that's the subject matter that we discussed today. The wood will get wet if we allow the senses, mind and intelligence to indulge in the, without regulation, indulge in the material nature. So where it has to be fixed, we have to see. And then the positive side is the spiritual practice, chanting of the names of the Lord. Then hearing Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam and serving the Vaishnavas and things like that. That's positive side. And this is vairagya. So these two things are properly balanced. So then the fire has to come out. Then Krishna consciousness has to come out. So we have to analyze this is where we have gone wrong, and let's just fix it. It's a process. It will work. Right. Okay. So thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. Good one, I think, and I think the other said one point that I noted was the strength of lust in the real world. Actually, when we compare it, when we understand the social reflection, we understand how strong the love of God is. And another point that I took from session was the humility, the aspect of humility is very important in spiritual life. And that was portrayed by Lord's great devotees like Sudhama and Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for this great class. We have few announcements that I will make. So next week we have on 16th Feb, we have the Advaita Acharya and Advaita Day, so we will be passing this room from the Acharya from KP Naman. We talked about a little in detail in the next few sessions that will progress. Then on 17th Feb, we start our new lecture. And most of you have been aligned to a lecture here. What will happen is they will call you, and next week we have our first lecture class, starting from the university. And there are some festivals that is lined up for this month. The 22nd Feb, we are celebrating Nityananda Devashi. Grand celebration is actually planned in our IBC Cultural Center. Everyone is welcome. It's on Thursday on 18th. It will be a great, to have you all there. And on 24th Feb, finally we are doing the leadership center for now. We are actually moving from our old center to a new center. The next session will be a last session here. And following that, we have on 24th Feb a grand inauguration of our new center.
Haribo!
And we have a lot of devotees actually coming, so everyone is welcome. We'll talk a little more about in detail in the next session. So it's in near 20 days. It's not very far from the center where our business center is. Not it's the center that we have right now. Two doors is the center that we are moving. So we'll talk a little about that in the next session. I just want to So I just hand over the mic to Prabhuji. We have a group discussion. Prabhuji, I can tell you the topic.